he's dead. And I immediately flashed, you know how when your life passes before your eyes, when you're having, you know, a near-death or out-of-body experience, I had everything go in slow motion, and I flashed back to the summer before when we were in Italy at this town, and we were walking in the medieval village with those little twisted alleys when a lightning storm came up out of nowhere, and a bolt of lightning struck a lantern just over our heads.
Wow.
And I thought that was the premonition of the lightning bolt that struck him a year later in the form of the bee sting.
Well, that's that web we're talking about that connects us all. And to add to that, my guides, Sanaya, who give me the daily messages and have been my greatest teachers, they're the ones that told me to call them Sanaya. And when I first looked up their name online, it means one worth knowing. And it was years later, Jamie, when somebody told me that it's also an Arabic girl's name meaning flash of lightning.
Oh, for goodness. Oh, God, Suzanne, I'm just chilled to the bone.
Everything. The connections.
Oh, man. It's so wild. And, you know, last Tuesday I was in my Transdimensional Grief Resolution Method coaches training. And I joined my coaches training with the Love Club, and we are all together in the group. And there's this woman in there who's weeping over her daughter who left her body. And the daughter came in as a boy and then wanted to become a girl. And she was just a teenager, 15, diagnosed with leukemia, and 4 days later she's out of her body. And the mother, I could feel, was blaming herself. You know, what did I miss? Was it her identity, her gender identity confusion that ultimately made her sick? And all of a sudden, I hear her daughter saying, Mom, stop blaming yourself that, you know, you missed something. Because the reason I went from boy to girl is because I knew I was going to be entering spirit, and spirit beings are an equal blend of male and female. And I am one. I am one being, both male and female. So I say this to the mom. And the mom bursts into tears, and she says, right after my daughter left her body, she told me, leukemia spells backwards, I am one.
No.
Yeah. So her daughter, in coming through to me and saying, I am one with, you know, male and female, I am one. When her mom confirmed this through the leukemia spelled backwards, message her daughter gave her right after she left her body, then I burst into tears. And I look at the mom and I say, you see, I'm weeping. I'm crying. And then her mother starts to cry, and she said, last week I got in my car and I said to my daughter, give me a sign I'm supposed to join the Love Club. And my daughter put on the radio a song, Jamie is Crying.
Oh, my gosh. That's a good one. That's a good one.
God. It's so awesome to share this with you because, you know, oh, gosh, these are the things that remind you of what you're saying again and again. We're all one. We're all one. We're all interconnected.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, I just before this program did a reading for a woman, and her little child came through, and the child had only lived a few hours. And as an evidential medium, I have always stressed the evidence. I need evidence. How am I, that's how we know that this spirit is here. As the left brain Navy officer in me needs evidence. But I've finally surrendered just to the one that this intelligence that flows through all of us knows what is needed. If I had known that's who she wanted to hear from in a reading, I, in the past, would not have done the reading. I would have said, well, I can't get any evidence from a child that young, so I can't help you. That was the limited self saying that. But because I've opened up through my own teachings of the awakened way, I know that this intelligence that we can tap into knows always what is needed in the moment. And she gave me permission to share this publicly, the session publicly. But because I didn't know who she wanted to hear from, I sensed a young child who passed that young. And indeed that was the case, and I sensed how the child passed. And then the child showed me a little stuffed animal that her mother had in her honor, and the mother brought it onto the camera. We were doing a video reading and said, I just bought this to celebrate what would have been her first-year birthday. And it was exactly what the child had shown me, showing us that our own beliefs about what is possible limit us. But when we open up and let that intelligence flow through, we can even get intelligent evidence from a soul that wasn't here informed long enough to have a story.
Right. Or even, you think, because it's a child, the child isn't mature enough. But in the soul, there's no time, there's no age.
That's exactly right. No age. Right. There's pure communication.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
And so beautiful. And then we find this with animals, too. I mean, you think, the animal doesn't have, but it has a soul. So the soul communicates even though it's not in words,
Exactly. And this soul communicated in images, because then this soul showed me a kangaroo. So unusual. Why show me a kangaroo? I tuned in. I put my hand on my belly, and I said, well, we carry a baby in their belly. Guess what? My client's pregnant.
What? And see, this is so amazing because the kangaroo is such a beautiful image. It's perfect because it's poetry. When you communicate on the level of the soul, it's poetry.
Right. It doesn't have to be. I was not sensing that from the client psychically. This is soul level, using that poetic imagery and then showing me the soul around her mother during this, protecting her, carrying that baby with her. It's just amazing.
It's the universal symbology. Do you know?
It was
the
first time I've seen that in a reading, and I gave a nod to my team in spirit and said, that really is good. Next time you need to get that image across, we're going to use that one again.
Because and what's so amazing is, when I'm training coaches and so on, and I'm sure you know this too, when you teach people and you train people in your method, that one of the greatest challenges is to know how to interpret the sign or the symbol, the poetry that's coming through.
The heart
knows.
That's the knowing that I'm talking about, and finding our way home through the heart. And this was my challenge in the past, why I was saying that I would have called the reading off if I had known that was who she wanted to hear from.
You would have been in your head.
It would have been in the head, and the thinking brain says, I can't do that. I can't get evidence from somebody who didn't have a story yet. And I would have limited that beautiful reunion between the mother and her child.
Absolutely. And I'm being asked to say something that Blaise Pascal said, and Jean wants me to say it in French, and then I'll translate it. Le cœur a ses raisons que la raison ne connaît point. The heart has its reasons that reason doesn't understand.
I love that.
Yeah. And this is one thing that Spirit doesn't quite understand, the reason why I have to go to a break, but I do. And I'll be right back with you in a moment on Love Never Dies Radio.
EDECIA is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods, EDECIA has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join EDECIA's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edeciaglobal.org.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's #1 international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, will show you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit without the assistance of a medium, channeler, or psychic. Sign up for Dr. Love's free newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive an exciting gift, a free excerpt of Love Never Dies. And now, back to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Welcome back to Love Never Dies Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, talking with my beloved Suzanne Giesemann. She is the messenger of hope, founder and teacher of the Awakened Way, the most profound way of knowing who you are and why you're here. She's a former U.S. Navy commander, and she's just really the soul of love. Suzanne, you can just feel how much our souls love each other. It's so clear, right?
It's like a warm blanket wrapping us. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So beautiful. It really is.
May I share with you, the left brain side of me likes lists. And so when the Awakened Way came through, I was given the ABCs of action. So people, we like in our human forms, we like tools. We like to know, well, how
I'd love to hear that. Everyone listening would love to, please.
So ABC, based on the 3 principles we've been talking about so far, A would be align with your true nature. In other words, be the shining light your soul came here to be. And we do that by listening to our thoughts, at feeling our emotions. Is this in alignment with love, lack of separation, or do I feel separate from others? So we align ourselves. That's A. B, balance your head with your heart, because we are here in human form. We're both human and soul, so we can add that knowing sense to the thinking to get the wholeness of the picture, the situation. And then C, connect regularly with your highest self and make the highest choices. So that regular connection means throughout the day asking, what's my point of view right now? Am I stuck in the story, or am I in the story yet aware I am a soul? It's that simple.
That is so wonderful, because, it's so funny being a trained shrink. I have always asked my patients to use what is called the observing ego. So in this respect, in shrink talk, when you speak about the ego, it's not like the way the Eastern philosophies talk about the ego. The ego is more one of the psychic structures, the part of the brain that can observe, that is rational and logical, right? Mm-hmm. So when I say use the observing ego, imagine yourself like an eagle in the corner of the room looking down upon yourself and the scene. So this enables you to not be drowned and washed overboard by your earthly story. You can use this other part of your psyche to observe you in the story, which gives you a bit of detachment so you're not sucked down into the vortex of your story. And it's more of a shrink's way of working with exactly what you're talking about. And it is so important to do what you're saying, Suzanne, because otherwise, when you're too in the vortex of the story and you're drowning, it kind of takes you farther and farther away from being able to see the big picture, to be in your soul, in your heart. If you're too in the story, you can't be in awakened state.
Exactly. A picture comes to mind that I had a slide of this that I would show in workshops of a bulldog riding a surfboard. But it's just a comical way of remembering to ride the waves, not get tossed around by them, to rise above them.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, I know that you're doing some events in the upcoming year. And you have a 4-day retreat with Suzanne Wilson, right? At Unity Village?
I have a